Welcome to this explainer. We are jumping right into the action today to solve a massive engineering mystery. How exactly does a modern offshore drilling platform, essentially a floating city, climb straight out of the crashing ocean to stand totally secure on its own legs?
Here is a number that should absolutely stop you in your tracks. 14,300 metric tons. That's the maximum variable deck load of a Gusto Messi's CJ70 Category J rig, like the Askbot. We're talking about the sheer, crushing weight of the equipment and supplies it has to carry. It lifts its entire hull, the towering derrick, massive mud pumps, the accommodation block for over 100 people, literally everything, straight up into the air. And to pull off that monumental lift, it relies on a surprisingly simple foundational concept. Get this. There are no hydraulic rams. There are no massive cranes pulling from above. No heavy-duty tables. Just gears. It sounds almost impossible for a structure this massive, right? But it's just pure mechanical brilliance.
The whole system raises and lowers the hull using a classic rack and pinion setup. Heavy-duty teeth racks run the entire length of those incredible 700-foot lattice leg cords. And those electric pinion gears, which are housed inside the rig's jackhouse, literally mesh with those teeth. They just climb those racks, lifting the entire platform foot by foot up into the sky. So why this specific design? Well, if you're operating out in the terrifying, unpredictable reality of the North Sea, you need a controllable, ultra-high-capacity way to lift thousands of tons vertically. And most importantly, you need absolute fine-resolution control to safely hold that platform perfectly level, leg by leg, foot by foot. But here's where it gets really clever. Instead of relying on one giant motor to do all the heavy lifting for each leg, the system uses many individual electric jacking units clustered right around the leg cord. They work together in perfect synchrony to hoist that immense structure out of the water. The crucial detail here is that every single one of those pinion gears is independently powered and monitored by its own variable speed drive, or VSD. This isn't just a basic on-off switch. The VSD lets the control system meter out the exact, precise electrical power needed for each individual motor. We're talking totally stepless speed control. Because each unit is independently driven and monitored, the rig's brain runs a continuous auto-leveling feedback loop. It constantly monitors the leg positions, compares the units against each other in real time, and automatically adjusts those individual VSD motor speeds. This means the system is making dozens of autonomous micro-adjustments every single minute. It automatically keeps the hull level as it climbs, even if the load distribution or seedbed conditions are totally uneven across the three legs. It's a huge operational advantage. But yeah, it also means the crew really has to trust a highly automated system. Which brings us to a quick check. It's a fair question. Why overcomplicate the engineering? Why have dozens of small, independently monitored electric motors instead of just installing one massive brute force engine for each leg? It all comes down to redundancy and fine control. A single giant motor gives you absolutely no ability to fine-tune the load distribution across the leg cord. Plus, if it breaks, that is a catastrophic single point of failure. You're stranded. But a swarm of smaller, independently monitored units, that lets the system detect and correct tiny imbalances instantly. And it gives you built-in redundancy, meaning you can keep operating safely even if one individual unit needs to be taken offline. Okay, let's do a fast recap of the mechanics we've covered in part 1. You now know that this floating city lifts thousands of tons using nothing but electric gears. It climbs its own legs using a highly controllable rack and pinion jacking system. It uses independent variable speed drives to achieve real-time continuous auto-leveling across 3 legs. And by employing many small units, it gets that ultimate redundancy needed for extreme marine environments. Now that we understand exactly how the rig gets up in the air, we really need to talk about the rigorous operational discipline required to keep it there safely. It's not just about getting lifted, it's about how the rig locks itself rigid once it's up, without tearing the steel apart. I want to leave you with a scenario to think about. Imagine the rig is mid-climb. If just one pinion gear climbs slightly faster than its neighbors, the massive steel leg frame will actually begin to twist. The system has a specific alarm for this, called rack phase difference. But what happens if the crew ignores that alarm, hoping it'll just correct itself? In part 2 of this explainer, we get into the single most important safety parameter and explore why ignoring it can destroy a multi-million-dollar structure in a matter of minutes. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in part 2.